Hello all, hope you all doing great. Welcome back to my channel. So in this video, let's cover the topic of preparation and starting of main air compressor. It is mentioned in the Thar books, competence number 1, task number 11. So let's get into the content, all right? So air compressor, as the name suggests, it's a compressor that compresses the air. So where we use this air, why we need a compressed air? So the answer is the compressed air. From the name we can understand when we compress something it gets pressurized, so obviously we need a pressurized air. The objective of the main air compress is to compress the air so as to use that compressed pressurized air in starting of engine. Let it be main engine, let it be the auxiliary engine. So the purpose of the main air compressor is to start the engine, okay, the main air compressor. Other than that, we have other compressors also. Maybe you have a doubt like what is the difference between the AC refrigeration compressor and this compressor. Let's not get confused with that. That is for compressing the refrigerant. The objective of that particular compressor is to attain the cooling effect to compress the refrigerant and stuffs like that. But let's keep it aside. Coming back to the main air compressor, the objective is to start the main engine, to start the auxiliary engine. This is the main air compressor. We also have like something called service air compressor. That is for using like deck air machineries. Suppose if they are doing buffing using pneumatic guns, might be you have seen they are using kind of air needle guns. So for those kind of things you need to have a air, and that air is supplied from service air compressor. Anyways, regarding main air compressor, this is the objective: to start the main engine, to start the auxiliary engine. Now, how to prepare the compressor, air compressor? So when you take off an air compressor, I'll also show you the video. I've taken the air compressor. Maybe better I will show you the video. Watch this video. I will explain few things, then let's come back over here. Hi, so this is the main air compressor that is present on my ship. So yeah, these are the gauges for the first stage, second stage. Yeah, we will cover this in the video later in the explanation part. So what you see, what I'm pointing out over here is the unloader valve. Just have a look on that. Yeah, it is getting drained. So I will tell you about the unloader valve, the importance of the unloader valve, but just get to see and get familiarized. So unloader valve is with the 4 connections, and this is main air compressor for starting the main and auxiliary engine. So actually this pressurizes the air till 30 bar, whereas you have another compressor also, yeah, this one, the service air compressor, and this pressurizes the air up to 7 bar. This compresses the air and stores in a bottle up to 7 bar. So there is a difference between main air and service air compressor. All right, I hope you watched this video. Now you might have got. Now I explain. Don't worry, I'll explain what is there, like what we saw and how it is all happening. So for preparing the air compressor, we understand that air is getting compressed, and that compressed air we are storing it in the bottle, and from the bottle we are sending it to start the engine. And regarding how we use the starting air valve, regarding that also we covered. But anyways, we are compressing the air. The compressed air is stored in a bottle, and from the bottle to the engine. So compressor to the bottle. So how to prepare the things over here? So there is a discharge valve from the air compressor. You have to open that valve, and there is an inlet valve in the air bottle. You have to open that inlet valve. Forget about this unloader valve, we'll talk about this. So to prepare an air compressor, open the discharge valve of the air compressor, open the inlet valve of the air bottle, and since this compressor is compressing the air, it gets hotter also, so we need cooling water. So there is a water connection also. You have to open the inlet and outlet of the water connection. So that's all, nothing much. All right, so this is the preparation for air compressor. Now how to start, like starting of air compressor. Okay, for starting of air compressor, well, I just understand this. I mean, I'll just explain with this thing. So when you start the air compressor, it sucks the air, and I'll tell you what, here I mentioned first stage compressor, second stage compressor. as a whole, when you see a compressor, it's a single block. You can see a motor and a block, but inside that block you have like two compressor. When we talk about air compressor, yeah, it's an air compressor, but inside the air compressor there are like two division. One is first stage, then is second stage. What happens is, when you start the air compressor, the air is sucked. We saw, right, the black color nozzle kind of thing. So through that the air is sucked, and the sucked air is passed through the first stage compressor, where the sucked air is compressed to 5 bar, and that air is passed through a cooler, and then from the cooler it is passed through a second stage compressor. And in the second stage compressor, the 5 bar air is still compressed and it is pressurized till 30 bar. Okay, and this is passed through the aftercooler, and from there we are sending it to the air bottle. So this is how that compressor compresses the air, and we are storing it in the bottle. Now, when we are starting the air compressor, what happens is, since this is a line over here, all the way the air will be passing through this, and since this all are like pressurized, initially 5 bar, then 30 bar, so this line will be having air till it reaches the bottle. So when you start an air compressor, the sucked air, when it's try to compress it and try to push us from this line to this line, this line to this line, already some air is present inside this line. This air will be acting as a resistance to the newly sucked air. Okay, so what happens is, when starting a motor, they will purge it, they will release the pressure inside that line. So as soon as you start the motor, for 15 to 20 seconds, it depends, in my ship it is 20 seconds. As you start the motor, for 15 to 20 seconds, the air in the line will get purged through a valve called unloader valve. Okay, what happens is, the air in the line as well as the compressed air, the newly getting sucked air, it won't get passed through the line. Rather, the air will go like this, compressed, and through this, you see dotted ones, through this they go, and through this, from first stage, then before the cooler, from the second stage, then from the cooler, they all go to a valve called unloader valve, and through this valve they get purged. Maybe they will send it to a bilges, or maybe to the atmosphere. Okay, and why to bilges is because, since it's a compressor, since it is compressing something, there will be a piston inside, and that piston needs to be lubricated, so oil will be there in that, mixed with the air. So maybe oil mixed with air will be coming, so oil we cannot just put it like that. So in some ships they will transfer it to the bilges, some ships it is to the atmosphere. Okay, so basically this is the idea. So the air from the compressor to the bottle is through 4 things: first stage compressor, cooler, second stage compressor, cooler. But at the initial time of starting, there is one more element, the 5th element, that is unloader valve, to avoid the resistance. Why? Because if there is going to be pressure in the line, of course the line is designed for the pressure, but the motor, maybe the motor will get overloaded. If there is a pressure in the line, the motor will try to suck and try to push the air, but if it is not able to push the air, motor will try to hardly push, and finally it will get overloaded and motor will get tripped. So to avoid that, all right, so this is how we prepare the main air compressor. This is how we start the main air compressor. So as a ETO, the main thing you have to know is about the unloader valve. This unloader valve, the name may be an unloader valve, but basically this is an solenoid valve, an electrically operated solenoid valve. Yeah, so thanks for watching. Hope you loved this video.